All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, September 8th. We have a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. We're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me, all of my final plays are going to be in the pinned comment. So we had been on a killer run. Sweep, and then a 4-1 night, right? Unfortunately, that comes to an end last night. We go 2-1, and I feel like I just got too comfortable, right? We kept rolling with the Orioles, kept rolling with the Phillies. At least the Mariners and Cardinals cashed for us, but it was a minus 160 play. So unfortunately, all good things come to an end. Hopefully, we can get back on the win train today, but we did have a negative night last night. I'll tell you what's not negative. The 2 plays in a row that hungry hippopotamus has cashed for us for the ride of the day. One of the most electric usernames, and now 2+ money cashes in a row. He had the under 3.5 runs in the Yankees and Cubs game yesterday. The game finished 2-0. So that was under 3.5 in the first 5. The game finished under that line for the full 9. So shout out there. Let's pump in some damn crowd noise. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it is simple. All you have to use is that hashtag ride of the day. We jump on board with one person's play. I give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to ride with your plays. If you lose, you gotta face the womp womp. So get those hashtag ride of the day entries in the comments. Let me know your favorite plays out there. Okay, a couple things before we do jump into the MLB slate today. First and foremost, first NFL Sunday. We have our video now live on the channel. It's cruising right now. Make sure to go check it out. I give you all of my leans on every NFL game for this Sunday, except for Sunday Night Football. And then all my final plays are in the pinned comment as well. But we also have a few spots still left in our, let's see if we can pull it up here. Yeah, in our NFL Survivor pool, I believe out of the 300 spots available, we have 260 plus filled right now. So last day to go ahead and get in there. You have till 1 p.m. today. So if you're watching this in time, head over there. It's a $10 entry fee, winner take all. Right now, the winner is going to get up to like, I want to say nearly $2,500. We have 260 people in there, each paying $10, right? So go ahead and check that out, guys. Again, that link is going to be in the pinned comment. Get in that Survivor pool. But yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I know it's NFL time, but let's jump into some MLB. The grind don't stop. There's still some money to potentially be made in the MLB here. And we're starting it off with Baltimore taking on Tampa Bay. This is one of our losses yesterday. We had Baltimore first 5. They ended up losing the game 7-1. I think the first 5 was like, I want to say pretty close. It was like 2-0 or something. So it wasn't terrible, but obviously still a loss, and losses are losses. Today, a little bit different though. We have Corbin Burns on the mound going up against Zach Littell. Corbin Burns, a righty, is going to throw a ton of cutters, which is a pitch that the Tampa Bay Rays absolutely stink at. In fact, we can jump into the dashboard, kind of explain it a little bit more. If you want access to this dashboard, I'll have a link in the pinned comment as well. It's $2.99 a month. You get every game broken out by pitcher, pitch mix, batting in the last 30 days, batting against certain pitches. You get the bullpen bottom left, all that type of thing. So become a channel member. It helps support us. Only $2.99 per month. And you get access to this dashboard each and every day. But what I want to explain here is obviously Corbin Burns, phenomenal pitcher. He's going to throw a ton of cutters. That's the red. You can see the cutter up here for Tampa Bay, 29th in the league last 30 days. That ain't all that great. Against righties, they're almost dead last in almost every category. If not last, they are bottom 2. So I think it's a good spot for the Orioles. The problem being they're super juiced. So I think they do bounce back today, but they'd be in some sort of money line parlay. I have a couple spots that I could see them going in a parlay with, which we'll talk about in a few games. But yeah, that's the only way I'd play the Orioles today, in some sort of a money line parlay. Hint, hint, it might be like a Braves-Orioles money line parlay, which we've cashed before. But this time we have Chris Sale and Corbin Burns. Not the worst parlay idea, right? In terms of a total here, I'm going to lean towards Tampa Bay's team total under. If we can get it at 3.5 for good odds, it's going to be something I consider. I don't want to pay too much juice, and it may be juicy just due to the fact that Corbin Burns is out there. So if this is going to be like a minus 130 or beyond, I don't like it. But if we can snag it for minus 120 and inside, there's a chance that I could roll with Tampa Bay's team total under from a total perspective, because I like Corbin Burns against him today. He's a righty, and he throws pitches they don't like. All right, we got the Red Sox taking on the White Sox. This was kind of a barn burner yesterday. Chicago scores 5 runs against the Red Sox, but the Red Sox offense kind of returns to form, and they score 7, so they do get the win. Today we have, I believe, making his MLB debut here, we have Richard Fitz, a.k.a. Dick Fitz, making his MLB debut coming up from AAA. He was looking, I guess, okay in AAA again. Like, I don't always love to roll with pitchers that are starting, but as their first start in the MLB. But like, what better dream matchup could you be asking for coming into the bigs playing the White Sox? So it's not enough. It's not enough of a wild card for me to be like, oh, I don't even want to consider the Red Sox. But they're minus 270. There's no chance in hell I am backing an offense that just scored more runs than, they had in the previous 5 games combined type thing. And you have this new starter coming in, and you're paying minus 270. Like, there's enough reasons for me to not consider betting on the Red Sox, but I don't think it's enough for me to flip to the White Sox side of things unless you truly believe Chris Flexen is your guy and plus 225 makes sense. But the White Sox just scored 5 runs. I don't necessarily think that they can go out there and do that again, So I do think the Red Sox are probably the winning team in this game, but hell no, I'm not paying minus 270 for a debut starter, a crappy bullpen, bats that have been cold with the exclusion of yesterday. Like, it just does not make enough sense to me there. Maybe a first 5 run line if you really want to consider it, but you're still paying way too much of a price tag for that. I wouldn't mind taking a peek at an under here. It's sitting at 9.5. I think this has jumped up because of the pitching. Flexen, not all that great, and Fitz, we don't exactly know what to expect, but let's not forget that both of these offenses, obviously they scored runs yesterday, but both of these offenses were struggling for quite some time, like the last month, though. So the fact that it's sitting at 9.5 is a little worrisome. We saw game number 1 of the series be 3-1, right? And then the Red Sox have scored 3, 2, 1, 1, 1 runs in their previous games before that. The White Sox, they have that 1-8 run game against Baltimore, but then it was 0-3, 0-3, 1-1, 1. Like, this team wasn't scoring either, so 9.5 seems a little too high for me there. All right, here we go. We already kind of talked about it. We have Chris Sale on the bump for Atlanta, taking on, who is pitching for, we just had it up. Pitching for Toronto is going to be Yariel Rodriguez. Enough said, easy spot for me to consider Chris Sale. Like, he's been absolutely dominant, and Toronto isn't very good at hitting lefties. They do hit the slider very well, like very well, second best in the last 30 days. So if that's a consideration, if that's something that's going to make you want to be like, maybe we do look at Toronto, then take that and run with it. To me, it's Chris Sale. This dude has been absolutely lights out, and I'll keep working him into my plays some way, shape, or form until the wheels fall off. So this is going to be most likely some sort of a Baltimore money line and, I guess Braves money line parlay. Right now you can get that for plus 105 on MGM, plus 100 on ESPN, plus 101 on Caesars, plus 101 on FanDuel, plus 102 on DraftKings. So Baltimore and Braves money line is probably how I end up working this in. Again, for plus 105, you're getting 2 great pitchers against 2 offenses that they should have trouble hitting. So hitting those pitchers. So I do like that. In terms of the total, I'll lean towards the under because the Braves offense hasn't been absolutely crushing it, right? They did score 5 last game. They lose 9-5, but they even won game 1 of the series 3-1. Last time Chris Sale pitched, they won 3-0 against the White Sox. So it's not like this Braves team's absolutely going off. So I expect a low-scoring win here for the Braves. So give me the under as well. But again, the main way I'd play this is matching up the Braves and Baltimore and hoping that both of these heavy favorites pull it out. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you like that parlay. Comment parlay if you like that parlay, so I know, because again, we cashed that last week and it worked out. Now we have that was because Chris Sale is pitching, and now we have Corbin Burns on the other side as well. Like, we don't have to rely on Baltimore's offense as much as we may have had to in that other game. All right, next up, Pittsburgh taking on Washington. Still not my favorite game out here. Washington wins both games as underdogs yesterday, so that would have fit right into that strategy I talk about sometimes if you just take the underdog in both doubleheaders, and if they win one, you make profit. If they win both, then you're cashing, right? Because it's hard to beat a team twice. Today on the mound, we have Patrick Corbin, going up against Jared Jones. Jared Jones is still, I think unbelievable. I think that long-term he could be on Skeen's level. Obviously came back from injury 2 starts ago. Hasn't really looked great since he went up against the Cubs, who were kind of red hot, and then, had to play the Cubs again, who that offense obviously prior to this Yankees series was kind of cruising. So I give him a little bit of an extended leash there, but the problem is he's going to throw 54% fastball. Jumping into the dashboard again here, guys. Again, become a channel member if you want access to this. Fastball number 1 last 30 days for Washington. You can see they have some better numbers against the respective hand than Pittsburgh does against lefties. So I'm going to lean towards Washington. It's Patrick Corbin. I don't I really don't love that, but one thing that's kind of getting me through it is his two main pitches, sinker and slider. Check down here, sinker for Pittsburgh, a really tough pitch to hit. Even the slider, one of the bottom 10 teams in the league, so in terms of runs above average. So give me Washington in this spot. I wouldn't be considering really Washington if we weren't also getting plus 150 odds, but paying minus 160 and beyond for this Pittsburgh team is a little bit too much. And I will say, this is such like a nothing series to me that this is a 4-game series. I wouldn't be surprised if this ended 2-2, right? And Washington won their 2 yesterday. Pittsburgh won game 1. So that would be the reason that I'd most likely look at Pittsburgh. They have Jared Jones and to tie up the series. But if you put this in a vacuum and forget what happened the 2 games before, which is yesterday, I think Washington for the odds is probably the move. Because again, I'm not saying Washington is going to win the game. I'm saying them being placed at plus 142 gives them 40% chance to win implied odds wise. But I think this is more like a 50-50, could be like a plus 105 spot. So there's 50 cents of value in there, if you ask me. Now in terms of the total, it's 8.5. I don't think either one of these offenses is all that great. So again, another under. I feel like whatever reason we're leaning towards a lot of unders today, but 8.5. I'll trust Jared Jones to at least get some more of the job done, and then Patrick Corbin, again, his pitch mix should do pretty well against this already not that great Pirates offense. So let's go with an under 8.5. All right, Mets taking on Cincinnati, and honestly, as I was looking at this slate this morning, I'm like, look at all of the minus 200 and beyond plays. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. I might have missed one. Games today that out of the 15, right? So half the games today pretty much are absolutely lopsided affairs. Now the Mets have won 9 straight games, so I don't think you want to really get in front of them right now. I don't think that they're worth pulling the trigger with minus 205 with Luis Severino on the mound. But he does throw a lot of fastballs, so again, that's the only time I'd ever bet on Cincinnati, but I'm not getting in. We saw this Mets team become a freight train a couple months ago. If that happens again, I wouldn't even be surprised. So Mets in the money line here. I'm not as confident as them. Out of these big favorites, they're not necessarily one of them. Same thing with the Red Sox. I'm more in that boat. I could see Cincinnati keeping this game close or even winning this game today. So I'm just not going to touch it. It's almost like a net win for me not to consider it, because I wouldn't want to throw the Mets into a money line parlay and then they're the team at minus 205 that blows it, So I will lean in that direction, but I'm telling you right now, fully transparent, that that's not a direction that I'm fully going to go in. And then the Guppy's going to be like, well, why are you even mentioning it? Because we talk about every single game and I give my thoughts on every game, and those are genuinely the thoughts on my game. I'd lean in that direction, but I don't think I'm going to fully get there. It's just what's happening in the brain. In terms of the total, it's sitting at 8. I don't mind an over. We saw a 4-0 game yesterday, but prior to that, we saw a 6-4 game. The Mets prior to that had an 8 and a 7-run game, and Cincinnati, again, could hit the fastball off of Severino, so I don't mind this getting to maybe like a 5-4 type of spot, hitting that 9-run mark. All right, guys, real quick, before we do get into the rest of the games, I want to talk to you guys about Sleeper. And honestly, if you're not checking out Sleeper right now, you're absolutely missing out with all of the discounted squares or free squares that they have on their app right now. Aaron Rodgers, 0.5 passing yards for Monday Night Football. We have Kyler Murray, 0.5 passing yards for Sunday. And then we have a Dak, St. Brown, and CJ Stroud discounted Sunday prop there as well. So I know NFL Sunday is happening today, so you might only have a couple hours to go check it out. But hit that link in the pinned comment. It's also going to be in the description, but the pinned comment probably easier to find. Get all of these discounts and your first deposit matched 100%. You could throw in $50, they'll give you a free $50. You'll now have $100 to play with. You could throw in $100, they'll give you $100 free dollars, $200 to play with, and you get all these free squares to try and capitalize and build that app bankroll as well. Go ahead and check it out, guys. If you don't know what Sleeper is, it's a player prop app. You combine 2 or more plays into a slip. The more you win, the more you get paid out. You can run up to 100 times over there because each and every play you throw in has its own unique multiplier, which is really cool with these Sunday props, right? They keep their multiplier, but get a discounted line. They don't just follow a fixed payout structure like the other apps. So again, if you're not on Sleeper, guys, wake up. Quit sleeping on Sleeper. Go check it out. That link is in the pinned comment. This is crazy. 5 props that are discounted, 2 of which are free squares, 0.5 passing yards. Go check it out. That link in the pinned comment. All right, let's jump back into these games here. All right, Miami taking on Philadelphia, another play that bit us in the you-know-what yesterday. Seth Johnson on the mound here for the Phillies. He's getting called up from AAA. No big league history here, so a little I don't want to say worrisome, but this is a spot in which I'd like to still consider pulling the trigger on the Phillies, right? Because they're going up against Edward Cabrera, who I don't think is all that tremendous, but, and it's a big but, you got a nobody pitcher on the mound. Now, am I afraid of Miami's offense? Not necessarily, and they just scored 9 runs. Similar to how I talked about the White Sox, I don't think that Miami does it again today. I will say if there were a time to do it, it'd be against a kid that comes up and isn't ready for the moment. But I think in this spot, I might just have to blindly kind of say, okay, forget it about the pitcher and roll with the Phillies. -130 is a great price. Now, I also want to make sure that their lineup isn't like their B team lineup being rolled out, because if that's the case, that would stink. But overall, they're going up against Edward Cabrera, who isn't all that tremendous. He's a little bit better against righties, but this Philly team has some good lefties, obviously, in the lineup, right? Schwarber, Harper, Marsh, like they could get to Cabrera. So I'm going to lean Phillies, maybe first 5 money line, first 5 run line, even money line is -130, but just know I'm not neglecting the starting pitching, the new kid. I'm trying to suppress it, and sometimes that's not the best thing to do as a sports bettor here, but it is the direction I'm going to lean in, just because it's still worthy of fading Miami in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, the Phillies offense can still go out there and score. And in fact, as I say that, we could refer to something that we do all the time, which is when we don't trust the pitcher, roll with the team total over, right? So if this is sitting at 8.5 and they're favorites, let's see what we can get. Phillies team total over 3.5 for -160. That's a lot of price, but even odds on FanDuel for over 4.5. So both of those could be things to consider as well, and that's probably what I end up doing with the total. I don't want to, go both teams total at 8.5 there, because we don't know what Seth Johnson's going to bring to the plate. So it would be a Phillies team total over, depending on the number and odds we can get it at, or just back in the Phillies money line and hoping that offense can go out there and win it. And hell, give the kid a chance and a shot in the dark to be able to shut this team down. Not the best offense in Miami. All right, KC taking on Minnesota. Kansas City has now won both games to start this series. I liked Minnesota yesterday. They had the better pitcher, and honestly, that game, like it looked like he was a better pitcher. One bad 3rd inning and then pitched really, really well. Or not even the 3rd inning. They allowed a bunch of guys on in the 4th inning. And they looked well. Like, they were up 2-0 heading into the 7th or 8th inning. You know what I mean? So, and he pitched 7 innings. So I guess it was the right call, not the right outcome. But we didn't end up betting it ourselves. So I guess I can't be too mad. But it was like the next one that I was about to place. So I was very close to it. So it would have been a loss. But I guess it is what it is. Today we have Simeon Woods Richardson on the mound going up against Michael Wacha. Michael Wacha has kind of been like a mixed bag recently. He has faced Cleveland twice, so did good against them once and then bad against them the other time. In terms of facing Minnesota, he hasn't seen them in 2 years, so I don't really know what to make of that. Simeon Woods Richardson has kind of been all over the place as well, and last time he saw Kansas City was in Minnesota. He pitched fairly well, 5 innings pitched, just 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. So we have 2 pitchers that could be kind of on the mediocre side of things today. I like the over in this one. Now, Kansas City's offense has been bringing it, right? 5 runs scored, 4 runs scored. We need Minnesota to kind of step up a little bit here, and I'm hoping that they can against Michael Wacha, who's going to throw a ton of changeups, a ton of fastballs, and a ton of cutters and sinkers, which are all pitches that Minnesota's just kind of mediocre against. But they're facing a righty here on the road. I feel like they should be able to hit well. But on the flip side, right, if we're looking at it over, Kansas City, fastballs from Woods Richardson, sliders and changeups. The fastball and changeup are 2 really good pitches for Kansas City, especially at home here. So I don't mind the idea of them being able to go out there and contribute their 5 or even more runs and then let Minnesota kind of trickle behind and score this one for us. Like, if this is 6-3, it wouldn't surprise me. That's really my main play. Like, again, the pitching is so up in the air to me that I don't have the firmest of money line leans. I guess the more consistent offense would be the spot, so Kansas City, but I think the over is my main play in this spot. All right, we got Milwaukee taking on Colorado. Freddie Peralta on the mound going up against Kyle Freeland, obviously an advantage there. But the one thing I will mention is that Freddie Peralta throws a ton of fastballs. It's actually a pitch that, if we jump into the dashboard here, you'll see that Colorado doesn't kind of shy away from. They hit it pretty well, and they're kind of all over the place, Milwaukee's offense, in terms of what they'll see. But we do have sinker, slider, curve, all these pitches that the Milwaukee Brewers do seem to hit well. So I understand the odds being where they are. They're definitely the better bullpen as well. So, yeah, I'll lean towards Milwaukee. Again, you're going to hear me say this a few times in some sort of a money line parlay. And I always get the question, why not just take them on the run line or anything like that? I really don't, and it's just a personal preference, to be honest, so it's not like backed by much. But I don't like the idea of laying -130 having to win by 2 runs. You know what I mean? Like, that just doesn't seem the value to me. So either I throw them in a money line parlay with another team, or I look at their first 5 run line, in which I wouldn't want to do that in this game because Milwaukee's bullpen is a huge advantage. So I would lean towards them in a money line parlay, but it's not anything that I'm absolutely loving here. The total sitting at 7.5. I think that's a little bit too low here. Just given the fact that what we saw, like, yes, Colorado, if there's one pitch they can hit, it is the fastball, and then Milwaukee should be able to touch up Freeland fairly well as well. So I like the spot here. I think the reason this number is so low is that Peralta has had amazing numbers, 55 plate appearances against this current Rockies roster, 176 batting average against with an expected WOBA of 247. And then Freeland against Milwaukee, an expected batting average against of 205 and an expected WOBA of 289 in 42 plate appearances against. So I think that's why this number is super low, or the fact that, we have a Colorado team that doesn't score many runs. But that recipe leads to a low scoring game. But again, I can see both these pitchers having good games, just not fantastic games like their past numbers would indicate. So I'm actually going to lean towards a slight lean towards the over. I like how I just worded that. A lean towards a slight lean of the over. What I mean is a lean towards the over, not a lean towards the lean. I feel like I'm in Inception now. All right, St. Louis taking on Seattle. This one ends 2-0 win for St. Louis yesterday. We had the first 5 under. Again, it was super juiced. We don't usually touch the minus 160s, but I really wanted to get that play in, and we missed our minus 150 and waited too long. But nonetheless, it was a cash, but it didn't make much of a dent in our other 2 losses, right? Today we have Luis Castillo on the mound going up against Miles Michaelis, and I'm not going to lie, like, I do see, and I'll sound the psycho alert alarm here, I do see an angle for St. Louis. They're going to be getting pitches that they don't necessarily love, so that's a knock. Like, they don't hit the fastball that well. They don't hit the slider that well. Those are the 2 main pitches for Castillo, but he also throws a sinker. They don't hit that well, but then he throws in a changeup, and they hit that phenomenally. The thing that I actually do kind of like about them is that Castillo's been terrible on the road. He's on the road today. St. Louis has arguably a better bullpen, and their offense last 30 days has actually looked better, right? So not from a power perspective, but from getting guys on and then dunking them home, they've been a little bit better, and they've been really good against righties at home in the last 30 days. So I sound the psycho alert alarm. I know that this could easily be a spot for the Mariners, but I think I like Minnesota in this spot. Minnesota, they're not even playing. St. Louis in this spot to be able to go out there and win a low-scoring game and kind of cash a plus 115 play. Like, don't necessarily mind that. I'd still stick to what I liked yesterday too, by the way, of that first 5 under, though I like, the offense of St. Louis. Like, I don't think that they're going to go out there and score a bunch of runs. And for odds today, first 5 run line, first 5 total, what we can get is minus 130 for under 4.5. I don't mind that either. Now, I don't mind the full game under, but again, when I see 7 or 7.5, I do think that there's a little bit of value in looking at the first 5, because now you have more than half of the innings of the total game, and you're getting way more than half of the total, right? Like, yesterday we got 4.5 for the 7 total. Why would we pull the trigger on the full game 7 if we get the first 5 innings at 5, in which, they're expecting less than 1 run per inning as the book set up the lines? 9 innings, 7 runs is the total, but we could get 5 innings, 5 runs, like 1 run per inning allowance. Kind of my thought process here overall as well. So first 5 under, but yeah, a sneaky little look at the Cardinals today, winning 2 in a row as a low-scoring game. All right, Chicago Cubs taking on the Yankees. Really low-scoring game yesterday. It was part of the ride of the day. Today we have Clark Schmidt on the bump going up against Jameson Taillon. In terms of how these guys have faced off against the current guys in the roster, recent, or at least in their career, decent numbers from both of them. You have 68 plate appearances against from Cole, 211 expected batting average against, an expected WOBA of 260, which is weighted on base average, meaning they kind of, weight how you got on bases. Was it a single? Was it a walk? That type of thing. That's why you hear WOBA a lot, because it's a really nice advanced metric there. Jameson Taillon, 87 plate appearances against, a 267 batting average against, expected batting average against, and then a WOBA of 306. So not all that terrible from either one of these sides. We still do see low total in this one, right? And I think that's just due to the fact that we're expecting, actually, no, this one is up at, what is the current total of this one? It's been low scoring, but I think the weather has turned around in Chicago, right? It's like no precipitation, light wind. So either way, it's still, I expect to be a low scoring game. I don't think the Yankees, I don't want to say the Yankees go out there and score a bunch of runs, but I don't think that they're the team that's on the less run side today. So this is a slight Yankees money line lean. You're getting minus 150 with Garrett Cole on the mound. Did I say Clark Schmidt earlier? Garrett Cole on the mound. So I think that could be a little bit of an advantage there. But I still think that this one could be low scoring. You have 2 low scoring games in a row. Now, granted, it was the weather. I think there's only like 8-mile-an-hour winds today, not all that much. But both pitchers should be able to do their job. And you have 2 bullpens that have kind of stepped up as well. So yeah, I'll lean towards an under in this spot as well as the Yankees. But I wish the Yankees were inside that minus 150 number. The fact that they're outside, kind of meh to me. And it's obviously Garrett Cole hasn't been like a stud on the road this season. He's been kind of a mixed bag. So overall, I don't think the Yankees score less than the Cubs today. That's how I would say it. So I lean towards the Yankees. It's not a spot in which I think that they crush them or anything like that. It's more like if the Cubs score a run, I have a feeling the Yankees are coming for one as well. So yeah, give me the Yankees as well as the under. I still think it's a low scoring game. Next up, we have Texas taking on the Angels. On the mound for Texas should be Andrew Heaney going up against Caden Dana. Texas probably the spot in this one, but I feel like I've kind of said multiple things about this series, right? Like it hasn't been the most thrilling, and I liked the Angels yesterday, but didn't want to bet them because they won the day before. When that type of thing rolls into sports betting, you know that it's kind of just not like the best of spots, and now you're paying a hefty price tag if you like Texas today. Now, I do like them, but minus 175 with Andrew Heaney on the mound and the offense that they have just doesn't seem like the best spot. So I'll lean Texas, but yet another spot in which I'm telling you guys the direction I'd lean if I had a gun to my head type of thing, but I don't think I end up getting there. And like I already mentioned, cue the guppies that are like, well, why are you talking about it? We talk about every single game. Sue me. And I like to just talk about sports, even if it's not the hottest of takes. I like to talk about sports. Go figure, right? We have a channel talking about sports. In terms of the total here, it's 8.5. Neither one of these offenses looks all that tremendous, but we did just see a 6-4 game yesterday. Maybe this is a game in which they just want to kind of get out of Dodge and cruise through. So I'm kind of caught in between. If this was 9.5, I'd obviously be under. If it was 7.5, I'd be over. So I think this is probably right around the 5-3 range. So a slight lean towards the under. I like that more than either side in this game, honestly. All right, Oakland taking on the Tigers. We have Ginn on the mound going up against Ty Madden here. Oakland gets Oakland loses yesterday, right? 2-1. They get the win in game number 1, 7-6. So a tale of 2 different tapes so far in this one. I'm going to trust JT Ginn a little bit more than I will Ty Madden. Not because I like him, but he's been really, really good at home. He does stink, absolutely stinks. Like if we jump into the dashboard here, look at him against lefties versus righties. So definitely something worth considering there of like that. But you look at this Detroit lineup, and they have a bunch of lefties in there, but none of them are like all that scary to me. Like this Detroit lineup itself isn't all that scary. So if this was a team that had as many lefties as Detroit does with some better track record of batting, then it might be something that I consider, kind of staying away from. But I'm not exactly all that afraid of this Detroit lineup, even though they have a bunch of lefties. So I like Oakland here at home to close out this series and win it. They have a game. They go to Houston, I think they have a day off. 1 day off. Maybe that's not true. They might not have a day off, but they go to Houston after this. Detroit has a day off, and they go back home. So they're flying to Detroit. Like both teams are traveling. It's not a better spot for either. Give me JT Ginn and Oakland. I feel like they have just the slightest better offense in this spot. Also, it's worth noting Ty Madden also stinks against lefties, but same sort of thing. There's a couple lefties. 3 out of the first 6 batters for Oakland are lefties, but wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them either. So I think it's a low-scoring game here. Give me an under as well. It's kind of scary with Ty Madden and JT Ginn on the mound to take an under, but I don't necessarily mind it. All right, Dodgers taking on Cleveland here in this spot. In terms of the pitchers, we have Jack Flaherty on the mound against Tanner Beebe. Dodgers are the better offense. I don't think you can necessarily deny that. And they have the better pitcher here in this spot. And their offense looked good yesterday. Now, they scored 1 run in each of their last 2 games prior to, but 7 runs yesterday. They bounced back. You have Jack Flaherty, who last time he played against Cleveland did not look all that great, but it was against the Tigers. He saw them a lot, right? He got kind of hit up, but not many runs came in. Like he still has his last 3 starts against them, a 1.0 ERA, even though he allowed more hits than normal. So I trust Jack Flaherty in this spot against Cleveland. He didn't necessarily get the most run support. I think in only one of those games they gave him 10 runs, or not him, but the final score was 10-1. Other than that, Cleveland won the games 2-1. So yeah, maybe his stats could look misleading, and he actually did pitch fairly well in that spot, right? And in fact, in his career, decent numbers here against this Cleveland team. 93 plate appearances against, a 237 expected batting average against, expected slugging of 347, and expected WOBA of 294. So I think this is a fair spot for potential lean towards the Dodgers. Within the minus 160, I know it says minus 166, you can get it for minus 155 right now on some books. So not all that afraid of that. I don't think Tanner Beebe's going to go out there and be phenomenal against this team. Now, he does throw a ton of fastballs, and that's actually one of the only pitches in the last 30 days that the Dodgers are kind of failing to hit, right? Fastballs, 25th in the league, but look at that. Changeup, sliders, the next pitches, they fare pretty well against those ones, so I don't necessarily mind it. You can also make the argument, well, Jack Flaherty throws a lot of fastballs. Well, they hit fastballs well, but again, we have Jack Flaherty's history against this Cleveland team, and it's looked pretty good, so give me the Mariners. I cannot say team names today. Give me the Dodgers on the money line. That's what I just mixed up. Dodgers money line sounded like Mariners in my mind. But Dodgers on the money line, total sitting at 8.5. If I'm betting on the Dodgers to go out there and score, I'll probably lean towards their team total over. But again, I don't want to go full game over here because Jack Flaherty, I think, could have a good performance and good game against this Guardians team. So I don't think I touched the total. If anything, it would just be a Dodgers bet it and forget it type of spot for me. All right, guys, before we get into this game, if you made it this far into the video, you know exactly what to do. What do I ask you guys in most videos? If you made it this far into the video, what should you comment? Go ahead and do that. I do apologize if I have, like, even saying the Dodgers and Mariners, like, I haven't been able to say the team names. Maybe I'm just geeked up and excited for football or something, but I feel like we've had some ad-lib in there a couple different times and stumbled over our words. But you know what? We're just a dummy with a camera and a microphone. You guys chose to watch it, and I love that you're here. So go ahead and comment, you know what, if you made it this far into the video. But let's take a peek at this one. We got San Diego taking on San Francisco. Musgrove on the mound, going up against Spencer Bivens, who I'm not all that familiar with. He's been bad on the road this season, but I don't want to act like I'm a Spencer Bivens, expert, right? We haven't really looked too much into him. I think he's only made one start. He's pitched in, like, out of the bullpen, like 20 games or so. But again, that's just me being honest. I don't know too much about him, but the odds kind of indicate that this should be a San Diego spot, and I don't mind the idea of that. Like, again, even against really good pitchers, I've been leaning towards San Diego. Now, yesterday I did lean towards them. Dylan Cease didn't pitch all that terribly. Logan Webb didn't pitch all that crazy well, and yet we still see, San Diego lose. So I like them in a bounce back spot here. Like, San Diego scored what, 3 runs off Logan Webb through 4 or 5, and Dylan Cease let up some runs too. It's like that the bullpens did their job yesterday, in fact. And then to tack on, we saw San Francisco score late. So give me San Diego. It'd probably be a team total overplay. If I don't know too much about the pitcher, maybe he's not all that good, but I wouldn't give myself too much credit. But I like the idea of them being able to go in there and hit up a righty here. So I'll lean towards San Diego and the team total over. All right, you got the Houston Astros taking on Arizona. We got Verlander taking on Ryan Nelson. Now, this game was more like it. Remember in game 1, we leaned towards the over. Actually, we bet the over, right, as our final play, and it cashed, but that was because we had 7.5, and Houston scored 8, Arizona scored 0. Yesterday, we saw 11-5 as the play here. Now, I know Verlander's on the mound, and he's a very good pitcher, but I like the idea of Arizona just getting a bunch of fastballs and being one of the best right-handed hitting lineups in baseball right now. Verlander also has been kind of shaky this season, so I don't know if it's worthy of the psycho alert alarm, but I'm going to drop the sound drop there. Give me Arizona here on the money line for plus 125. It actually has a chance of being a final play here in this spot. I don't mind the look of it. If anything, this is a 50-50 game to me, and a spot in which Arizona probably wants to avoid an embarrassing-esque type sweep, right? So give me them on the money line. Total sitting at 8. I'm going to lean towards the over. I think this is another game in which we could see some runs. Verlander's name, I think, is carrying some weight here, but he really hasn't been all that great this season. So I kind of want to just disregard it and forget that he's such a great pitcher and treat him like anyone else, right? So give me the over as well as Arizona. Maybe look at Arizona's team total over too. You know that we love that. If we can get a 3.5 for good odds, that might be a play as well. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully all of your MLB and NFL plays today go well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.